Peter Valley, FBAmaster.com here. You guys, my intention is to make this the definitive Scoutly versus ScoutIQ review. The review that settles the score once and for all as to which is the superior Amazon seller scanning app. And this is not the review to end them all, because I think you should just listen to anything I have to say about anything. But this is the first review that I'm aware of that relies on objective, scientific facts that are indisputable, not just somebody's opinion. I think you will find this the most in-depth video ever on this subject, and I put a lot of work into it. So here's how this review is different than every other review that has come before it. Number one, is the most comprehensive Scoutly versus ScoutIQ review. If you want just a 5-minute video where you've got some dancing monkey guy going, hey, here's what I think is the best app, just take my word for it, bro, or whatever, that's not this review. I'm going massively in depth. This is for sellers who really want to do their due diligence and be 100% certain they're making the right decision based on hard facts. Again, not somebody's opinion. Number two, this is the first review that I'm aware of, at least on YouTube, that has no financial conflicts. Let me tell you what I mean by that. And this is not an attempt in any way to badmouth any like Scoutly versus ScoutIQ review that I've seen. I'm not suggesting anyone's being dishonest. However, every other review that I've seen, at least on YouTube, the app they declare the winner happens to be the one that pays out the highest affiliate revenue. And there is one of these two apps that pays out significantly more when people review their product and then refer sales to them. So if you don't know what an affiliate link is, essentially just a specially coded link. Anyone that clicks through it, the person that posts a link gets a cut of the sale. So I actually am using an affiliate link below this video if you sign up for the winner. I'm not going to spoil who it is yet, but it is the app that pays out significantly less. So whatever minuscule pennies I might be making from this video, I'd be making actually a lot more if I was actually promoting the other app. So you know I'm being honest, because I'm actually taking a financial hit by declaring a certain winner versus another winner, because I'm declaring the app I'm declaring the winner is the one that pays out significantly less in affiliate revenues. And I would argue the app that I deem the loser of Scoutly versus ScoutIQ is the one that's actually promoted more solely because they pay out higher affiliate revenues, and that's probably been the reason they've been at all popular, getting any traction at all, in my opinion. So I'm not going to spoil the winner just yet, but I'm not going to make you wait till the end for that. So we'll get to the winner here in just a second. So and again, I warned you, this review is very, very in-depth. So here's what we're going to compare Scoutly versus ScoutIQ in 5 different categories. Number one, we're going to compare their features. Number two, we're going to compare their main display. The main display is where you're going to spend most of your time, the actual where the data loads when you scan an item. Number three, the data quality. I've never seen a review that actually did an audit of the quality of the data. So as far as I know, this is a first, and this is probably the most important part. Number four, design. Which app is simply more usable and looks better? Some people care about this, some people don't. There's also a clear winner in this category. Number five, honesty and credibility. Another one I've never seen before. And I have some very strong opinions about which of the two apps is actually more credible and honest, and one that has a history of perhaps being a little bit dishonest. So we're gonna get into all that. Okay, so the few of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, let me just tell you what a scanning app is. So I always say Amazon businesses come down to two things: sourcing inventory and repricing it. As long as you dial in those two things, it's impossible to not make money. So scanning apps are the sourcing side of that equation. They're essentially X-ray goggles that allow you to see value everywhere. So you've got smartphone, you download the app, you scan an item, preferably with a barcode scanner, if not, at least your phone camera, and it brings up all the data you need to make an intelligent buying decision. It brings up pricing data, brings up sales rank data, etc. This is essentially the first purchase I would recommend any Amazon seller making when they get into this business. You could pretty much cut corners or avoid all other expenses other than inventory, of course. But in terms of your fixed expenses, this is one investment that you really cannot live without. Do not recommend starting with any kind of cheap, totally free app. You can just start with a free trial for a paid scanning app, but these will pay for themselves very, very quickly. Okay, so I warn you, this video is extremely in-depth. So I'm going to start out with actually the history of each app, and I think actually the history of each one is kind of interesting in different ways. So history of Scoutly. So Scoutly, I believe, was the original Amazon seller scouting app. Now, I don't claim to be an Amazon historian, so I'm not entirely sure they were the very, very first app, but they started, I believe, back in 2005, and they started out called a seller tool. And it actually wasn't even an app. It was something you use on your flip phone. I don't even know if you can call it an app. It was just like a blank box, and you enter ISBNs, and it would return pricing data like 10 seconds later. Very, very archaic, but this is actually how Amazon bookselling got started in terms of at least using apps to help you look up pricing data. So it was called a seller tool back then. A couple years later, a year or two later, it evolved into a PDA-based app that closely resembles the smartphone apps that we see today, but you actually could only use them on a PDA. This is before smartphones. And a PDA, if you don't know, is just like a big clunky like handheld computer, and you'd attach a giant barcode scanner to the top. It was this really obnoxious setup. This is what I used, again, this is back in 2007. I didn't use this setup until a little bit later, but the point is you would see these around in about 2007-ish. And again, it was still called a seller tool. Then it rebranded a few years later as FBA Scan as a smartphone app. And then in 2016, it rebranded yet again as Scoutly and became the app that you know and love today. But a lot of what you see today with the apps that are out there right now, whether it's ScoutIQ or other apps, actually started, as far as I know, with Scoutly. So we have to pay homage to them as the originators. Now, the history of ScoutIQ is a little bit different, a little bit weirder. I'm not really sure how to go about it. So the story of ScoutIQ actually starts about a year before it was released. This would be about 2015, where a character emerged on the internet who called himself the Book Flipper. Now, I'll save my thoughts about the Book Flipper for later in this video, but suffice to say for this section, the Book Flipper emerged, and he had a blog, and he had a YouTube channel. The official story was that the Book Flipper had been selling on Amazon for about 10 years. Now, whether or not that's true, I'm not sure if we'll ever really know, but at least that was the story. And so, very quickly after launching this blog, it became apparent the purpose of the blog was to basically sell products, which is fine. But the way the Book Flipper went about it was essentially just literally to take existing software tools in the Amazon selling world and then just clone them and just put them in like a shinier wrapper. And this isn't even necessarily an insult, it's just factually correct. I don't even think they would argue. This is exactly what they did. It was done all in public, but so they started out with this online arbitrage tool. They cloned it. They didn't really make any improvements at all. They just kind of put like a shinier, better design on it and then released it under their own name. And then they did the same about a year later with Scoutly. They basically just repackaged Scoutly, again, offering really no innovation, and just put a shinier design on it, and that was essentially it. And that was the origins of ScoutIQ. And then a few years after that, or maybe like 5 years or so, ScoutIQ sold to a company called 3 Colts. Not entirely clear who's running ScoutIQ right now, but we do know at the very least that it was sold to a company called 3 Colts. And that's where it stands today. Okay, so now we got the history out lesson out of the way. What is each app's claim to fame? If you had to put it in one sentence, like what are they known for? Okay, so as I said, Scoutly's claim to fame essentially is the oldest and most reliable app for Amazon sellers. This is my personal, like if I had to give it a sentence, that's how I wrap up Scoutly. The OG scanning app. It is also one of the only apps that has a downloadable database, which is very, very significant. ScoutIQ is also one of the only other apps. I think maybe there's one other app that has a downloadable database, which is hugely significant. I personally would never use an app at this stage that didn't have a database download option. So what is ScoutIQ's claim to fame? Well, it's really hard to kind of pin this down. All you can really say about ScoutIQ is it's the app that seems to be the one preferred by newer sellers. Not because it's simpler or really for any reason other than it just seems to be the one that's like marketed the most amongst the Amazon selling gurus. So newer sellers who are just kind of clueless, don't really know where to go, they just tend to rely on, the figures in the space, the thought leaders or whatever you want to call them. And so they tend to go with ScoutIQ before almost inevitably evolving and graduating to Scoutly, and that's my observation. What about the cost? Well, this actually is not a significant factor for me in which app is better. In other words, I'm not even putting this in the top 5 categories I'm assessing because I don't think it matters. Even if you got an app that's significantly more, a good scanning app, if it actually, offers like superior value to another one, will almost always pay for itself. So I personally would not even consider cost to be a factor in which app I choose, but Scoutly is $35 a month. That's the blunt answer for Scoutly. ScoutIQ is $44 a month. That's basically it. So why am I covering Scoutly and ScoutIQ? Aren't there other app options? The answer is yes. But as I mentioned earlier, they're the only two, I believe, of 3 that have a database download option. So that's number 1. Number 2, they tend to be the most popular amongst at least the people who read FBAmaster.com and the people I talk to. Scoutly and ScoutIQ tend to be the most popular. So it's not that there are only 2 apps out there. There's plenty of others. Let's go through a few other options that are out there just very quickly. There's one called Scoutify, one called Nitoscan, one called ScanPower. There's actually that free Amazon seller app. Another one called Seller Mobile, Seller Amp, and Profit Bandit. These are all apps that basically do the same thing. I think Nitoscan is the only... someone correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I think Nitoscan is the only other app that offers a database download option. But ScoutIQ and Scoutly are kind of the reigning kings of this space as of this moment in history. So do you guys want to hear the winner? I told you I'm not going to make you wait all the way to the end for the winner. I'm actually going to tell you up front. So if you don't want to watch the whole video, I'm going to tell you, objectively speaking, which is the better app. But I have to get this out of the way. Be very brief here. My name is Peter Valley. If we've not been acquainted, I've been selling on Amazon for over 15 years at this point. I'm a super uncool web guy to the website FBAmaster.com. And I started out keying books manually into a flip phone. I actually did not graduate to a smartphone app for the first 5 years I was selling on Amazon. It's kind of embarrassing to think about now. It's incredible how archaically everything started out. But yeah, that's a true story. I started out with a seller tool, then I went to actually ScanPower, and then back to what is now Scoutly. Gotta mention I have a free book, 396 pages. You can download it right now. It's entirely for free. You can click the link below this video. FBAmaster.com/ebook is the URL. It's literally 396 pages. Be prepared to download a massive file. The most insane thing I've ever seen given away for free by anyone ever in the Amazon selling space. I mean, that's how much value is packed. You can build a whole business off of this book. Link below to download. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you don't subscribe right now, I will come to your house and rearrange your furniture. Subscribe immediately right now. I swear to God, I will come to your house and move your couch around while you're sleeping if you do not subscribe immediately. And lastly, there's a much longer version of this video in article form at FBAmastery.com. It is probably literally 50 times more just in terms of word count. I go so much more in depth into this article. In fact, it's actually annoying. Also, link below this video at FBAmastery.com. But yeah, the article's massive. Okay, you guys, you ready for the winner? Here it is. Scoutly. I'm declaring Scoutly to be the superior sourcing app for Amazon sellers, period, objectively, scientifically speaking. Now, over the next 10 or 15 minutes, however long this video is, I'm going to be making the case for why that is in a totally objective, data-driven way. I'm not just giving you my opinion here. But if you don't want to watch the end of this video and you're sitting back and you're either using ScoutIQ or you're not using any app, sign up for Scoutly immediately. If you're using ScoutIQ, sign up for Scoutly immediately. If you're not using any app at all, sign up for Scoutly immediately. Link is below this video. In fact, right now I'm going to put a link above this at the top of this video as well. So you should see a link up at the top. Now let's get into all the reasons why, broken down into 5 different sections. Part 1, the features. Now, here's how I'm defining features. I'm not defining features as every feature. I'm defining features as every single feature that's not on the main display. I'm giving the main display its own section, which is next. That's part 2. Part 1, we're focusing on all the settings are outside the main display. Okay, that's very, very key detail here. So Scoutly so what that means is this is actually probably the least important part of this whole video, because this is all the stuff that isn't really, you know, where you're going to spend most of your time. It's just kind of all the like bells and whistles stuff, okay? So Scoutly, and to a lesser extent ScoutIQ, has a lot of features, but here's the key thing I want you to understand. You don't need 90% of them. These apps are way more complicated than they need to be, so I want to make this really, really simple for you as we're going through these features. Just understand you don't need 90% of this stuff, okay? So here are a few screenshots from Scoutly. You get a sense as to kind of, you know, the design scheme looks like, and just a few, you get it. What you see here on the left, the far left, is just like a small, like not even half of all the different settings they have. And then this is ScoutIQ. So they have a much more streamlined interface and fewer features, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is just a fact. They have fewer features than Scoutly. Okay, so I go into all the details in the article version of this video, but let's just declare a winner right now. Did a thorough audit. Scoutly far and away has better features than ScoutIQ. First of all, they offer significantly more features, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but the features they do offer oftentimes significant value above what ScoutIQ offers. Number 2, Scoutly comes with a free listing software. So you literally don't have to pay for extra listing tool if you're using Scoutly. It comes with a free listing software called Turbo Lister, which is, I'm not going to review that because it's like outside the scope of this video. That's a pretty significant bonus and a pretty significant win for Scoutly. Scoutly's database download has all products, not just media. You guys, this is massive, massive, massive. So if you do a database download in ScoutIQ, you are only getting books and other media categories, DVDs, cassettes, etc., etc. With Scoutly, you're downloading Amazon's entire database. I mean, it has some holes, obviously. It's not like its entire database, but almost its entire database. Every product category, and this is important because even if you're just a bookseller, it's inevitable you're going to be coming across categories outside of media that are valuable, worth reselling, and you don't want to be stuck with an app that doesn't have that data in its database. Now, with ScoutIQ, it will still do a live lookup. So if you scan something that's not in ScoutIQ's database, it will do a live lookup. But then you're basically at the whims of your cell signal, whether or not you even have a cell signal. A lot of sources are in places that there's just either no cell signal or terrible cell signal. So the ability to have everything downloaded is a massive advantage of Scoutly over ScoutIQ. Quite simply, I was unable to identify any feature that ScoutIQ had that Scoutly did not have. Scoutly offers increased customization. They offer something called a buy list. I won't even go into that, but it's pretty cool. They offer transparency into their default profit triggers, which ScoutIQ does not, which is kind of crazy to me, but like their default triggers, you can't even see what calculation they're making. And there's several more. You know, I said a second ago, this is actually the least important part of this. When I think about it, when I consider that Scoutly's database allows you to download the entire Amazon catalog, not just media. I mean, that's massive. And in and of itself could make Scoutly the winner just based on that alone, but there's lots more. Okay, so part 2, the main display, possibly the most important part of this entire video. This is where all the magic happens. You scan an item. This is where you're going to be spending 99% of your time in any scanning app on this page. This is where you see the pricing data, the sales rank data, etc. Specifically speaking, it's just simply the data that each app displays, right? So this is what Scoutly looks like. This is their main display, for lack of a better word. So you get a sense of what it looks like. And then here's ScoutIQ. Now, remember what I said earlier. ScoutIQ, the company behind it, their whole business model was to take existing apps and basically just clone them. That's why I'll toggle between them. They look almost identical. There's a reason for that. So let's get this out of the way. Winner for best display, Scoutly, far and away. Scoutly quite simply has more data. Now, as to the quality of the data, we're going to get to that next. But volume of data, Scoutly is far and away the winner over ScoutIQ. Scoutly displays something called a fair market value, which ScoutIQ does not. Fair market value is another way of looking at the actual value of an item. I don't quite fully understand how Scoutly calculates, but I think it's basically just an average of the buy box price. Pretty valuable. That's valuable data to have. Scoutly also displays the average sales rank, which ScoutIQ does not. This is massive, you guys. Massive, massive. Huge, huge win for Scoutly here. Scoutly basically takes Amazon's sales rank, averages out over, I believe, 12 months, maybe it's 6 months, I'm not sure which, and gives you that number, which is the best possible measure of an item's demand. ScoutIQ does not offer Amazon sales rank. It offers something called eScore, which I'm going to talk about a lot more in the next section here. But suffice to say, in my opinion, and based on my analysis, eScore cannot be trusted and is not reliable. So ScoutIQ basically replaced average sales rank with this thing called eScore, and then eScore turns out isn't very good. So this is a massive loss for ScoutIQ, huge win for Scoutly. Scoutly has more custom link options. So what a custom link is, it essentially allows you to create your own special link to other sites that sell books on Amazon. So it could be like book sale or bookfinder.com or like several others. So Scoutly simply offers more options when it comes to that. And if you don't understand what I'm saying here, don't worry. It's not actually a significant feature, but it is an advantage Scoutly has. Scoutly has a restricted item check. From the main page in Scoutly, if you scan something, you want to find out if you're allowed to sell it or not, with one click, you can find that out instantly. ScoutIQ does not offer that. Now, I have to, in the interest of fairness here, I read something on the internet that indicated that ScoutIQ does offer this. I tried like crazy until I was running out of oxygen and time left on this earth to find that feature inside ScoutIQ, and I simply could not find it. So all I can say is it's possible this exists, but I mean, I put a significant effort into finding it. I just simply couldn't find it. I personally don't think it exists, and I think what I read on the internet was wrong, but I just want to be transparent about information I saw to the contrary of what I'm saying here. Scoutly displays Keepa charts on the actual main display. With ScoutIQ, they do also display Keepa charts, but you have to go outside the main display. So it's a huge annoyance. You have to go to a totally different page. And the ability for Scoutly to show Keepa charts right there next to the pricing data, the sales rank data, all in one place, massively more efficient, and it's a huge win for Scoutly as well. Okay, so far let's do a tally. We are on section 3 now. We've gone through 2. We've got Scoutly 2. ScoutIQ 0. So how are they going to fare when it comes to data quality? Let's find out. So what I'm covering in this section specifically is the quality of the data displayed on the main page inside of each app. Now, of course, the only reason you sign up for an app is to make quality purchasing decisions, right? The great thing about this business is you can know whether or not something's going to sell and roughly what it's going to sell for before you even purchase it. That's what these apps allow us to do. But of course, if the data's wrong or it's stale or whatever the case may be, if it's just simply not good data, you're going to make poor purchasing decisions, which undermines the whole point of you signing up for Scoutly or ScoutIQ. Now, which data am I talking about? Specifically, sales rank data and pricing data. All you really care about when you scan something to relist it for sale is what is the price, what's the value, and what's the demand, right? That's all you really care about. So I'm going to audit both of those. Okay, let's start with Scoutly, and we're going to do this in 5 parts. So I'm going to go quickly through each of them. Let's start with current sales rank. So by the way, with all this, we're talking about the database download option. So you download the database. We just want to know how much does it match up to reality. Now, each of the 2 apps, Scoutly and ScoutIQ, both claim their database is updated at least every 12 hours. So the question is there any evidence that's not the case? That's kind of what I'm looking for here when I'm trying to audit data, because obviously there's going to be some latency, right? You got a database download. It's never going to be live. It's inherently not live. It's a download. But the question is, does it actually live up to what it says? Is it updated every 12 hours? Current sales rank, never seen any major discrepancies. Seems to be line up pretty well. Never seen a sales rank, or at least not often, that I think is older than 12 hours. Sometimes with the real, what you call long tail books, low demand items, I see some stuff that kind of makes me wonder when I compare it to maybe what's live on the Amazon page, but nothing too significant. So I pretty much trust what I see with current sales rank wise. Same thing with average sales rank. Everything seemed to match up pretty well when you compare it to something like Keepa. Sales score. Okay, so what is sales score? Sales score is Scoutly's attempt to measure how many times, or how many days rather, an item is sold in the last 180 days. Now, sales score is an answer to ScoutIQ's eScore figure. So when ScoutIQ came out, basically the only way they attempted to differentiate themselves, the only claim of superiority they even attempted to make, was they had this thing called eScore. So that was almost immediately undermined when Scoutly shortly thereafter came out with Sales Score. And so now you have both apps that both have a number, you know, it'll be, let's say 30 or 20 or 50, whatever, that attempts to measure the number of days an item is sold in the last 6 months. So obviously the higher the number, the more frequently it's selling. So the way we audit the accuracy of Sales Score, and eScore for that matter, is we basically compare it to the Keepa sales charts. So you can, or sales rank charts rather. So you can look at the Keepa sales rank charts. I consider Keepa to be the gold standard of data when it comes to Amazon selling. I think most sellers, you know, maybe wouldn't put in those terms, but Keepa is very trusted. And so when you look at the Keepa charts, you basically look at how many times did the sales rank plummet downwards to, you know, 100, 200,000, and then each one of those you could assume is a sale, and then you start to just kind of count from there. So that's how you do the audit. That's how I did the audit. It's never going to match up one for one. The Keepa charts are never to be interpreted totally literally. But I never saw any major discrepancies between the two. So in my mind, Sales Score has proven itself to me to be pretty accurate and trustworthy, we'll say. Number 4, price accuracy. So how often do you see a pricing data and then maybe click over to Amazon and see a pricing data that's wildly different in a way that indicates maybe it has not been updated in the last 12 hours? Pretty much never. Never noticed anything significantly off, and so I trust Scoutly's pricing data pretty implicitly at this point. Gaps in pricing database. So what I mean by this is how often do you scan an item and Scoutly just says, hey, this is not in our database. We have to do a live lookup. You want to minimize that. You want that frequency of that happening to be as low as possible, because it's just inconvenient to have to wait for data to load through a cell signal versus the instant results you get with the database version. Database lookup, but also sometimes, you know, cell signal just isn't working, and it's just like you literally don't have access to data if you have to rely on a cell signal. So I like to see this frequency of that happen as little as possible, and fortunately with Scoutly, I would say it's the least of the two. Spoiler alert. What I'm not looking for is a database where 100% of the items are in the database. That's going to be not impossible, but it's going to be pretty unlikely that will ever exist. There's so many items coming out on a regular basis, it's just going to be impossible to keep up. I don't think any database claims that it's even come close to that. I just want to know which one does that happen to least. And far and away it's Scoutly. When you scan items with ScoutIQ's database, it's very, spoiler, I'm already kind of jumping ahead, but it's very common to get no results. With Scoutly, you generally only see that with, you know, again, what we call the long tail items, really low demand items. So that is that. Now that brings us to ScoutIQ. And you guys, this is where ScoutIQ starts to get in some serious trouble. Now, so far, ScoutIQ has not won any of these rounds. We're on round 3, and ScoutIQ has lost the first 2, but things get really ugly for ScoutIQ here. Okay, so brace yourself, especially if you're using ScoutIQ. It's about to get ugly. Current sales rank, it's honestly very common to scan an item and see a sales rank that indicates it has not been updated in possibly weeks, if not a month or more. You will see a sales rank, come up as, 900,000, and you go over to Amazon and it's like 3 million, or worse. I saw many examples of that. The scope of the problem, it's really hard to assess, but there is a problem, and it's a problem that you do not see with Scoutly. Okay, so next up, average sales rank. Guess what? ScoutIQ does not have average sales rank. This is such a massive loss for ScoutIQ. Massive blow. I mean, average sales rank is the best measure of an item's demand, period. I don't care about the sales score or the e-score. It's average sales rank. It's just raw data from Amazon. You can't get better than that. It's not an interpretation of Amazon's data. It just is Amazon's data. So average sales rank being missing from ScoutIQ is a major blow. It really cannot be overstated. And the reason they don't show it is because when ScoutIQ was released, they said, hey, you guys, we're doing something better than sales rank. It's called eScore. And it was their attempt to sort of reinvent sales rank. It was really the only claim of superiority that they made over Scoutly or other apps. It's this thing called eScore. You guys, if you're using ScoutIQ, you're going to want to sit down or cover your ears, because the situation with eScore is not good. In fact, we do not have enough time here to cover how bad it is. I did a separate video and article where I did a deep audit of eScore and found that it is almost completely disconnected from reality. It's ugly. I found many examples. I think I just focused on 10, but I found many more that I didn't even record or put in the article or video, where if you take the number of items, again, eScore, I covered this a second ago, but eScore is the number of times that an item is sold in the last 180 days. That's what it claims to be. Not an estimate, but an exact figure. This is right from ScoutIQ's support and their their help desk. So that's their claim, and it just simply does not do that. You compare it to the Keepa charts, oftentimes, most of the time it will match up. But again, most of the time is not good enough because it doesn't claim to be an estimate. It claims to be a precise figure, and it is simply not. And so what I document in this video and article, I have not even had a single person even attempt to question the credibility of what I found. It is that just smoking gun. It's just the screenshots of Keepa and then the eScore and just how they're just almost completely disconnected oftentimes. So it's pretty ugly. So again, what you have here is you've got ScoutIQ saying, hey, we don't need average Amazon sales rank. We got something better called eScore. But guess what? eScore, if your eScore credibility is blown and you don't have average sales rank to fall back on, you're basically leaving your users completely flailing in the wind. They have no way to measure an item's demand. And that's essentially what you're at with ScoutIQ. It really is that bad. So go watch that article and go watch that video and read that article if you want more on that. It's seriously like 30 or 40 minutes. I went really in depth. Okay, so bad situation for ScoutIQ. Price accuracy, same thing as sales rank. It's very often common to scan something and see a price that's so off it looks like it has not been updated in a while. Now it's less easy to determine how long it's been with price accuracy. With prices rather than with sales rank. With sales rank, you can look at sales rank and go, okay, it's definitely not been updated in weeks. You can't really know with prices because prices go up and down, whereas sales rank only goes down if something doesn't sell. So it's harder to assess the accuracy, but it's off a lot of the time. And I have to assume it's the same issue as with sales rank. Gaps in price and database, I already covered this, but it is true that it's more common for ScoutIQ to show no results and have to do a live lookup, which is obviously a very bad thing. Now, I talked about my eScore article or video and article. I also have an article. I talked about the video. I also have an article, fbamaster.com. You want to go more in depth. This is what it looks like. So you can search for that and bring that up. But don't do that now. So you guys, obviously, far and away, the loser here is ScoutIQ. The winner is Scoutly. Scoutly has more accurate sales rank data. Scoutly shows average sales rank, which ScoutIQ does not. Scoutly has fewer gaps in their database. Scoutly has more current sales rank data. Scoutly's sales score is more accurate than ScoutIQ's eScore. Just blows ScoutIQ out of the water. And, this kind of actually just sort of backs up what, if you were kind of a casual observer or astute observer, I should say, of ScoutIQ, you kind of notice their whole approach seems to be flash over substance. It's like, let's make a pretty app at the expense of making a good app. And those things are not mutually exclusive, but I think they're trying to win people over with the flashy appearance and the flashy marketing. And when you actually look under the hood, things aren't so good. So I will say at this point in this video, there's a lot more to come. At this point in this video, you really should have all the information you need to sign up for Scoutly right now. There's a link below this video. I'm going to continue. There's more to come. We got design coming up next. Now, this is probably the least important part, maybe tied for the first section with just the features. But this is the easy one to declare a winner. And you probably thought this is a big, let's just beat up on ScoutIQ video. But actually, ScoutIQ wins this one majorly. Look at Scoutly's design here. It's and you've seen other screenshots earlier in this video. It's kind of ugly. And you can tell they put all the emphasis on the data, all the emphasis on, the features, etc., and they really neglected the design. Now, fortunately, I don't see any way this directly translates into less profit or worse purchasing decisions like the other issues that ScoutIQ has. But look, you can't argue with this. It's kind of brutal. Things get really crowded. They just need to hire a UX person to come in and clean things up, and they just simply haven't done that. It's not a priority for them. Now you compare that to ScoutIQ. Much better looking. The usability is better. I don't find with ScoutIQ what I find with Scoutly, where in Scoutly I'm like, where's that setting again? I'm like clicking around. It's not intuitive. There's settings, within pages, and it's very, very confusing. Even as a user of Scoutly for years, I oftentimes cannot remember where things are because there's nothing intuitive about it. Whereas with ScoutIQ, they made a really clear effort to streamline their user interface. And so it's just simply better. There's no way around it. So yeah, the winner, of course, is ScoutIQ here. More streamlined, better design, better usability, etc., etc. Okay, so part 5, you guys, is kind of the weirdest part of this whole video. In fact, it's definitely the weirdest part of this video. How often have you seen a review that actually does an audit of the credibility and honesty of the tool that they're reviewing? I've never seen it before, but I think it's important. And I think it's especially important with these two tools. So let's get into it. Does honesty and credibility matter? Well, honestly, I expect that most of you watching this right now would probably think no. They probably just think, hey, if the product is good, I don't care who's, quote, more credible or who's honest. I just want a product to do what it says it's going to do, and that's it. So I understand that. But what I'm doing here is specifically addressing the integrity of each app, or the people behind the app. So what I just want to be really clear about this. This is the only part of the video that's kind of subjective, but I want it to be really clear that I'm going to be serving up objective facts, and the conclusion that I draw from those objective facts is subjective, of course, right? So you may draw a different conclusion. So this is not all me editorializing. I'm going to be laying out some very clear, the facts that are not in dispute. And then what you draw from those facts is totally up to you, and you may have a different conclusion than me, okay? So first, let's cover Scoutly's honesty and credibility. Now, Scoutly's been around for about 20 years. As far as I can tell, their founders have been largely invisible. Like, I don't even know who they are. You don't see them dancing around the internet. They don't have blog. They don't have, like, they have a YouTube channel, but it's, like, has barely anything on it. They don't do any of the flashy, like, affiliate marketing guru outreach that other tools do. Like, you can tell with ScoutIQ, they, like, they have like chase down all these people that have YouTube presence stuff and like, hey, promote us. And you never see Scoutly doing it. I've never personally, I've been doing my FBA Mastery blog for 10 years. I've never, ever gotten an email from Scoutly like, hey, would you promote me? Not that that's bad at all. I'm just telling you the only thing I'm just trying to paint here is they're just like, they're focused entirely on making a good product, and they're not putting themselves out there jumping around doing flashy marketing stuff or making themselves known in any way. So all I can say about that, which you might think, well, that's kind of, it's like, how can we assess their credibility if they're like invisible? But I think it kind of speaks to the credibility of the company in the sense that they're just letting the product speak for itself. It's always going to be like the best ambassador of a company is like its product. Like, does it work or not? And as we covered, it works pretty well. I've never caught Scoutly making any, false or questionable claims they can't back up. In fact, they've actually been the only app that I've seen that's actually transparent about certain blind spots that they have, like the FBA blind spot. I've talked about this in other videos, where Amazon doesn't share certain FBA data with third-party software. All the other apps out there don't even acknowledge this exists, as far as I know, at least the ones I've seen. Scoutly actually puts it on their support page. So, like, I think they've gone out of their way to show that they're a credible, honest company. Never caught them in a lie, ever. Okay, so how do I put this? I'm trying to be polite here, you guys. And I normally don't care about being polite, but I really am going to try. So ScoutIQ's honesty and credibility is a different thing. So you notice I crossed out the word audit, and I'm calling this ScoutIQ's honesty issues. So I'll explain these screenshots you see on the screen here in just a second. So the first thing for me, I was around when ScoutIQ came out. And remember I talked about earlier in the video about this like book flipper persona, this character that emerged called the book flipper. He's like, I've been selling on Amazon for 10 years. I am the book flipper. And there's an authenticity that's very, very hard to fake with this stuff if you've been doing something for a long time. And it felt immediately inauthentic to me. Now, this is the subjective part. Okay, I'm just telling you how I felt about this. I was asking the question: is the book flipper a real 10-year, a decade-long Amazon? By the way, he was like 25. That math is a little bit suspicious, but okay. Is he really a 10-year Amazon bookseller? Or is this just a marketing stunt? That was the question I had when the book flipper emerged. It just felt very, I use this term a lot, but it felt very dancing monkey. Just kind of like attention seeking. And then of course, immediately after the blog launched, he was releasing products very, very quickly. And so it became clear the blog was a platform to sell products, which I have no issue with. But it's just pieces of a puzzle, right? So immediately, the company, I'll just call ScoutIQ the company. I'll just refer to the company, not any individuals here. But he began taking existing apps, I referenced this earlier, and just repackaging them. And again, I'm not placing a value judgment on that. That is just like factually what they did. They would take existing apps, they would put a different design on them, and then just sell them as their own. That's what they did. I don't think they would claim otherwise. It's just that was all done out in the open, and that's what they did. So, you might feel one way about that, you might feel another way about that, but I think one thing you can't say is they offered any innovation. And so they were just taking work that was done by other people, and then they were just repackaging it, right? And then it comes to things that are that are also equally objective. So they started out with a tool called, by the way, you guys, if you may not care about it, and I could probably stop here. I'm not going to, but I could probably stop here. But the first real, like, okay, hold on, something is amiss here. They released a tool called eFlip. I don't know why that name makes me cringe, but anyway, eFlip, and this tool was just a almost pixel by pixel knockoff of an existing online arbitrage tool. They claimed they had, I think it was like 12 million books in their database. And I was hearing from people that number did not seem to add up to reality. They seem to have, like, their database was like really, really small. So I dug around, being the troublemaker that I am, and I found a screenshot, or I found a website that I don't think they even knew was out there, where the developers of eFlip were announcing, hey, we just built this tool for this book flipper guy, and we built it with 2 million, I think it was like 2 or 3 million books in the database. That's the lower screenshot there. And so I put it out there. I was like, hey, they don't have 12 million books in their database. They have 2 or 3 million. This is right from the developers. And they said, oh, well, we fixed that, and now we've got 20 million. So then I went in and actually did like a screen recording, because again, I'm a troublemaker, and I showed conclusively that they have not even upgraded their database, and their database still had 2 or 3 million. And they came back again and said, well, we don't show you 20 million books. We only show you 2 or 3 million, but it's for your own good. So basically just trust us. That was essentially, that's not verbatim, that's essentially what they said. And so I kind of caught them in a lie twice, and they didn't really have anything to say about that. And they didn't really have a credible sounding response. So that was very, very weird. The other weird thing, and I'm kind of jumping backwards here, but if you've been selling it on Amazon for 10 years, which again, I was a little bit kind of suspicious of, why are you buying my intro books? I sold some ebooks back then, and they were like intro level ebooks on how to sell on Amazon. And the book flipper guy bought my ebooks. So it's like, you've been selling on Amazon for a decade. Why are you buying beginner level training? That's really weird. So there's just stuff didn't add up. But then we get to the eScore thing, which I already covered. And again, they're making claims that it's one thing. I'm showing that it's not. And you have to stand back and look at all this stuff and just go, why is there so much weird, like, obfuscation, weird, like, ambiguity, weird uncertainty around basic numbers? This is Amazon selling. This is not a hedge fund. There shouldn't be this much weirdness and conflicting information around just basic numbers. Like, why are you saying, oh, we got 12 million, but then it's like, then the other thing over here says 2 or 3 million, and then it's like, oh, well, we did it, now we have 20 million. It's like, oh, well, no, you don't. It's like, oh, well, yes, we do, but we don't show you. It's like, that's not how this stuff works. Like, this should be very, very simple. Just be honest, right? Amazon sellers should not be in the position of having the tools they use have like a snappy comeback for every situation where, you know, things aren't adding up, and then be forced to like refute the comeback. Like, this should just all be really simple. This, you know, data shouldn't be this ambiguous and weird. So all of this to me points to some major questions about, you know, who's behind ScoutIQ? Like, why are they getting caught and tripped up in weird conflicting information around their data? It's like they say, you know, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So it's like, what else do we not know? So all this stuff is just weird to me. And again, the conclusion I'm drawing may not be the conclusion you're drawing, right? So you might look at all this and just go, I don't know. You know, maybe maybe you'll withhold judgment. I don't know. None of this passes my credibility, integrity, or authenticity test. So I'll just put it that way. Okay, you guys, so we reached the end. Do you want me to distill down the reasons that ScoutIQ is better than Scoutly in 10 reasons, 10 bullet points? I'm going to do that right now in no particular order, literally no order. Number 1, Scoutly has better data accuracy, as I've shown. Number 2, Scoutly displays more data, higher quantity of data. Number 3, Scoutly shows average Amazon sales rank, which is huge. Number 4, Scoutly offers free Turbo Lister listing software. Number 5, Scoutly is cheaper than ScoutIQ. So on top of being better, it's actually cheaper, double win. Scoutly is a longer running, number 6, longer running, more credible company. Number 7, Scoutly's database download contains all product categories, not just books, which is a huge win for Scoutly. Number 8, Scoutly lets you check if an item is restricted with a single click. Number 9, Scoutly displays Keepa charts in the main scouting screen. And number 10, Scoutly shows you an item's fair market value. All of these things add up, you guys, I believe, to be a bulletproof case for Scoutly being the vastly superior Amazon scouting app. I would love for you to debate me in the comments. I don't think anyone's going to step up and claim anything other than what I'm asserting in this video. I don't know how you could, but I welcome the debate, so feel free to post anything below. And of course, you made it this far. So if you're using any app that's not Scoutly, you want to click the link below and sign up for Scoutly right now. They have a 30-day free trial. It's just a no-brainer. You can confirm that everything I've said in this video is 100% accurate. You can compare. You can even download both right now and just compare them side by side. No reason you can't do that. But I am declaring Scoutly to be the superior Amazon sourcing app. You guys have a 4-part mission now. Are you ready? Mission number 1 is to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the button below. Subscribe right now. Mission number 2, I have a massive book that is entirely free. It is called Reselling for Rebels. It is 396 pages. There's also a link below this video. It would be utterly clinically insane to not download this right now. You can build a whole business off of this free book. Number 3, if you're selling on Amazon, you need a repricing tool. It is essentially mandatory. Amazon businesses are sourcing and repricing. That's everything. You can do everything else wrong. You get those 2 things right, you'll still make money. NeuroPrice is my repricing tool. NeuroPrice.io. There's also a link below this video, and I'm going to put a link above this video right now. You can start a 14-day free trial. I built this to solve all the problems I found in existing repricing tools because I was so frustrated with them. Mission number 4, you guys, take what you learned in this video and go make money with it. Our time here is wasted unless you put this into practice. And what that means specifically for this video is that if you watch this video and you're agreeing with me, you should be signing up for Scoutly right now. Otherwise, this time here with this video, as I said, has been wasted. So click the link below, sign up for Scoutly. That's it, you guys. This is Peter Valley signing off, and I'll see you in the next video.